Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to speak to you today at the Australian Conference of Economists 2024. My name is Edward, and I'll be presenting my findings and my insights. This is what I'll be covering today. So, what is social welfare? Social welfare is when a market is efficient. It consists of total surplus, consumer surplus, and producer surplus. Consumer surplus and producer surplus are gains of trade from participating in the market. The consumer surplus gained by the consumer and producer surplus gained by the producer. Tax is a charge, usually of money imposed by the state's authority on persons, entities, or property to cover the cost of general government services, goods, and activities. Looking at the diagram provided, it is to illustrate if a government were to impose a $1 tax on milk. The initial price shown without the tax is $4 per gallon of milk. With the tax, is shown at it is sold at $4.50 per gallon of milk. The consumers will pay 50 cents more as a result of the tax. But the producers only receive $3.50. They receive 50 cents less compared to when the price was at $4. The tax burden is shared between consumer and producer alike, as consumer pay 50 cents more and producer receive 50 cents less. With the tax imposed, we can see that consumers pay a higher price for less quantity due to less spending power. They are not as willing to pay more for the same amount of quantity. Producers, on the other hand, lose productivity, thus resulting in the loss of consumer and producer welfare. So tariffs are taxes levied on imported goods and services. An imposition of a tariff is when a tariff is enacted on imported goods. It raises the cost of these imports. As a result, imports become more expensive. The price of foreign goods increase with the tariff in place, which can reduce the quantity demanded for these goods. The increased cost leads to an upward shift to the overall supply curves. It occurs because of higher prices. Domestic producers may take advantage of the reduced competition from imports. As such, they raise their prices and increase their supply. The domestic supply increases as imports become less competitive. Domestic producers increase supply to fill the gap. Thus, the supply curve shifts all the more upwards. Through my research, I have found that effects on AI can reduce inequality and increase inequality. First, let's start with reducing inequality, looking on the left-hand side. It reduces inequality as it is able to level up human expertise. It is able to reduce the gap between the least and most proficient people given a domain of expertise. Examples include enabling people to upskill easily to take on roles that will previously require many more years of specialized training. It creates more job opportunities on the labor sector. It will be anticipated that labor demand for blue-collar jobs will increase, given introduction of AI. Looking at the diagram, the impact of generative AI includes a rightward shift in the supply curve. This indicates that more individuals can qualify for skilled roles, thus reducing the proficiency gap as they easily upskill. Generative AI creates new job opportunities, which, while not explicitly depicted in this diagram, this contributes to an overall increase in the labor demand within the broader context. Now, looking to the right-hand side, generative AI might increase inequality as it undermines meritocracy. There, in the future, it might have a smaller difference between education levels, such as a diploma and a degree certificate. It could lead to devaluation of higher education, which traditionally helps justify wage disparities. It reduces the demand for white-collar jobs, as white-collar jobs are composed of tasks most immediately exposed to disruption by AI, as they can be substituted more than augmented. It may reduce earnings, as along with the reduced demand and substitution of tasks for white-collar jobs, it is likely to displace and reduce earnings for white-collar workers. The effects on AI might increase productivity with an automation of tasks and enhanced decision making. Looking at automation of tasks. Take a job application, for example. A firm could use a bot to scan online professional networks and solicit applications. They might deploy a chatbot to screen candidates and answer basic questions about the job opening. It could enhance the decision making as the firm could use a LLM-based agent to determine whether an applicant possesses the right skills required for the job. Looking at the diagram, the initial equilibrium is established at E1 through the intersection of the aggregate demand and the aggregate supply curve. With increased productivity, the aggregate supply curve shifts rightwards, indicating a higher potential output, leading to a new equilibrium at E2, where output increases and price decreases. This highlights the positive effects of productivity enhancements on the economy. The effects on AI might leave productivity largely unchanged through the intersection of the aggregate demand and supply curve at AS1 and E1, the equilibrium. If AI were to implement results in minimal productivity gains due to factors such as limited task automation, high costs, and workplace efficiencies, the aggregate supply curve may only shift slightly upwards or remain nearly unchanged, moving from AS1 to AS2. Consequently, the new intersection may still be at E2, but it may show little change, indicating productivity improvements may not be substantial. So how can we use behavioral economics to study the behaviors? Behavioral economics combine elements of economics and psychology to understand the reasons for behavior. I'm sure when it comes to unhealthy food, all of us young people enjoy eating it from McDonald's, KFC, you name it. It is believed that through these key concepts, we will be able to understand. The first being a present bias. We may choose unhealthy food over long-term benefits of healthier choices. The second concept, loss aversion, where familiar indulgences will be preferred over healthier options. The third concept, social norms. Social settings, like our gatherings, may influence our eating behaviors. At times, it may lead to unhealthy choices. The last concept, cognitive overload, where too many food choices may overwhelm our decisions. It will favor familiar, unhealthy options at times. I will now open the floor to any questions that you may have. That's the end of my sharing. Thank you for your attention.